Welcome to Empirical Peapod. I'm your host, Tim Day. Thank you so much for continuing this journey with me, where I get to sit and talk to all my favorite people. You guys remember the drill. Don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, whatever is going on out there. Let's get into today's episode.
I'm just kidding.
You should actually. That would be great. Why don't you go ahead and lead us in?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Empirical Peapod. I'm your host, Tim Day. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and review my podcast. Thanks for joining us.
Perfect. That sounds way better than what I do.
I mean, I was tripping over my words a little bit, but
that's
okay.
I pre-record everything and write it down and still trip over my words all the time.
Oh, really?
So it's tough once you're on the spot because your brain's just silly. But we are here actually with Sam Hermansen, and you want to know what's hilarious? I've known you forever, and just today, before I came on, I was like, her name's Samantha.
Oh my God. That's so funny that you say that because like working now in like a professional field, like that's how I introduce myself. And sometimes like, yeah, I mean, it's just like the formality of it, like,
I guess it
or
makes
you can
more
call
sense.
me Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah. But sometimes my friends will clock me and be like, oh, you started going by Samantha now? I'm like, well, I think I had this name the whole time.
Right.
But yeah, whatever.
That's awesome. It's names are funny to me. I was talking to Shoger about it too a while back. How like he's just Shoger, Schmed is just Schmed. You know, everybody's got their singing names, or you kind of fall into this identity, and then you're just kind of stuck that.
What is Shoger is Greg, right?
Yeah, he hates the name Greg also.
Oh, okay.
So he's glad that it's just Shoger these days.
We are already name dropping. I love this for us.
Yeah, well, it is actually funny to think about, like, because of the show and kind of, you know, the people that have been on and stuff, it starts becoming like this little celebrity thing within this tiny circle.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, like in the silliest, smallest way, just like like I can even tell you because last year I put together a list of like potentially 3 seasons worth of names.
Oh, nice.
And so I've had you on the list for a while, and I remember like I would have a conversation with Jason. He's like, Sam will never do the show.
And I'm like, big time, baby. Like,
and I'm like, you don't know that, dude. Like, you know, it didn't work last season, but that's when I reached out now, and you were like, hell yeah. I was like, boom. Like,
yeah, I called up to the big leagues.
Yeah, it's just funny too because like, or you go to somebody and be like, oh my God, I got so and so to do the show, and they're like, what? How did you get them to do the show?
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
It's just it is funny, but because it's very, very tiny nothing circle of these celebrity people that only we know, only us 30 people know.
Yeah, but it's a big deal, I guess.
It's fun.
You want it to be. I mean, you're putting a lot of time and effort into this, like, so if we can support that, or if anybody can support it, you know, that means something to you and everybody else to sort of like catch up, but not really do a lot of the work on catching up.
Well, that's kind of, it's got that almost social media mentality where I can keep track of you without talking to you. And not in a dick way where it's just like, we have our lives, we're busy. Like, if I need to reach out to you, I can. It's cool. So I like that. But let's stick with the issue at hand, which is you.
What issue?
And how excited we are to talk about it. I'm very excited to talk to you. I don't see you enough in general as a friend.
I know.
So I'm excited to talk to you. I miss those days when we would run into you in the city all the time.
I know. I was thinking, I was like, the last time I saw you, like, randomly, I don't even know what town we were in, maybe Elgin?
It was Elgin, yeah.
Yeah, like, I ran into you at a show, and I was like, highlight of my night.
Yeah.
I was like, not excited to see any of the bands, but I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have like a stitch and bitch with these homies, and we're just going to catch up, and it's going to be great.
And we did have a really good time that night also.
Yeah, that was so much fun.
Yeah, we actually took a picture that night also. That's still in my phone.
Really? You should send that to me.
Maybe I will.
Nice.
Now, did you start in Oswego?
I did not, no. I was born in Hinsdale, but that's just where the hospital is.
Yeah.
And grew up in Darien
Oh.
until I was like 4. My mom had me when she was like 17, so we lived with my grandparents until I was 4, and then they rented an apartment in Woodridge, and we were there for maybe like a year.
Yeah.
Um, Bought a house in Bolingbrook, was there for a few years, and then they built their house in Plainfield slash Oswego in like when I was in 6th grade. So I think
Oh, so you came in junior high.
96. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, I'd say that's actually the same time I came to Oswego, was sixth
Where are
grade.
you from?
I'm from originally. I'm a bit nomadic like yourself. Like I started in Glendale
Nice.
Heights, and then
Okay.
I was in Naperville, and we had the house built in Oswego. Like so, it's kind of been
Okay.
a few different places.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's crazy. So you went to a few different grade schools then.
I did. I went to a Catholic school actually, like kindergarten to 3rd grade, and then I
Oh,
transferred to the public school because Catholic school just doesn't have like the programs for kids with ADHD or
yeah,
anything like that, like to actually sit and like help with your homework.
right.
So I had to transfer out to public school for like the uh, half of 3rd grade, fourth and fifth, and then right to Trevor.
Nice. Yeah. So I would say you would have should have gone to Trauber then, which is where I went.
Yeah, I remember you in junior high.
Yeah, I think I was in eighth grade when you started.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I believe. What year did you graduate?
High school,
Yeah.
2003.
Yeah, I graduated '01, so somewhere in there.
Yeah, yeah,
What was it like going to Catholic school? I mean, obviously you were very young, but like, do you
yeah,
remember that particular part of your life?
yeah. I mean, a lot of church. Like the church is kind of connected.
Yeah,
So a lot of curriculum like based around that. Like, uh, and it was a lot. It was like you have history and then you have like Bible study, and that's like its own
yeah,
history in itself. So
right.
Um, just a lot of that kind of bullshit. And, um,
Because you're not
then
really a
going,
religious person, right?
no, I'm not Catholic for sure, but like, I don't know, I believe in like a God and like in the universe and stuff like that, more spiritual.
Yeah, I feel like that's all of our safety nets these days. I'm
Yeah.
spiritual.
Well, recently I like to say I go to the Katie Leisure School of Astrology,
Yeah.
aka I like follow all the accounts that she does because she just seems like she's like way more in tune with it, and it's like nice little
Yeah,
tidbits, to
she's
tap into.
incredible, and I agree. I pretty much, I'll. There's times where I'll bring stuff to her and just be like, "Whatever you say is what I'm trusting."
Yeah, right. Well, she was like talking about learning to read birth charts, and I was like,
Hmm.
if you do this, I will throw a party, and we will all pay you to do all our birth charts.
Yeah,
So, Katie, if you're listening, please do that. I'll throw the party.
yeah. I know she's working on it, which is
Oh,
awesome.
nice.
Because I've talked to her too. I was like, "Oh, you should do a podcast about your journey and what you're doing, because
Yeah.
it would be incredible." And I think then you could do that. What you're training for on the podcast would be even more amazing.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah. So do you find that there was a turning point where you kind of not really abandoned but like turned away from Catholicism, or were you kind of it was just whatever the whole time?
Yeah, I mean, like in my experience with like religion and Catholicism, and that's is not everybody else's, but you learn a lot of shame from a very early age.
Yeah.
So my parents were pretty strict with us. Well, with me, I'm the oldest, and my brothers are like we're 7 and 10 years apart.
Mm.
So, anytime I did something very minor just to like upset my parents, I like felt so much shame. Like it would like keep me up at night. Like, I can't believe I was mean to the dog, or I don't know, like
Yeah.
just stupid kid stuff. Um, but yeah, I think like once I got into like high school, like sophomore year was a big turning point for me. I feel like I started listening to punk rock. Ever heard of it? Just kidding. um, and like a lot of that music is based. it's always like trying to challenge like your beliefs. And like when you're that young and impressionable, you just like go with it, or you expand, or I don't know. There are multiple avenues you could go with, but I was like, yes, I need to like challenge everything my parents are telling me, and like try to defy this fucking system. And I don't know. I was still kind of like pretty afraid of my parents, so I was still a good kid for the most part, but
Right.
it was definitely a turning point.
That makes sense. So coming to Oswego then, and kind of, did you say they had the house built?
Yeah, they had the house built right after like these tornadoes that happened in Plainfield.
I remember those.
Yeah, yeah. And it was kind of wild. Like this might sound a little white trash, but at the end of the day, that's who we are. But no, my parents have a great house. But my aunt and uncle built a house like right next door to us, so moving there was like scary. Didn't know anybody, and it was literally called Plain Fields. And I'm like, what the where are we? Like there's the mall is like 15 minutes away. This is a problem. But I had like my aunt and uncle's kids, and like like my cousins to like grow up with. So that was a lot of fun. Like just like having like that built-in family dynamic right next door.
Yeah.
Um, we were kind of in the middle of nowhere a little bit though, so it felt like we had to be more creative with our play. So I was always like an outdoor kid, like we're building forts and like playing sports, and oh my god, a rhyme, uh, and things like that, So it was definitely an adjustment that I didn't ever fall in love with.
Really? That's
Yeah,
I like the idea of you just looking at the word literally and be like, plain field.
yeah,
How boring.
right. Well, I mean, your imagination as a kid is very literal at
Yeah,
times.
that's
Um,
true. Because
Even
it's say,
Oswego, I thought was like Oz we go. I'm like, Oz, what? Like this place is gonna be great. And then I don't know, it was fine. Like I now when I go back, I like it and I respect it, and I can
Mhm.
see why people like have never left, and that's great. But like just growing up in it, I don't think like I would have chose that for me. But it
Yeah,
is what it is.
it's definitely it'll always be home. It's definitely better to come back to. Uh,
Yeah.
but so, man, so when you there's like this idea then because you're building a house in when you're in sixth grade and going into sixth grade. So clearly, at least the plan is to be there for a while, and you've moved around a bit before then.
Yeah.
So what's it like to try to make friends then, kind of coming in sixth grade? It sounds like you got built-in camaraderie because of your families right there,
Mhm.
but they're not necessarily like you said. Your brothers are a lot younger. Your mom had you at a very young age. So was there? Did you? They probably didn't go to school with you. So what's it like trying to go to school then and make friends?
Yeah, so I actually a cousin that was a grade above me. So he would have been like in between us.
Ah,
Um, and he was like my best friend. Like we would run our parents like through the mud, like being annoying and just like goofing off, and just like I feel like we're always just trying to crack each other up. So that was helpful, but I mean I still didn't have like classes with him or anything.
yeah.
But the bus was always where things went down.
Bus was
And
wild back in the day.
the bus is insane. Um, so we have that, but I don't know. Making friends like with people in like my grade and stuff. I don't think it. I don't know. Like it was such a long time ago. But it was pretty hard because you did have like a lot of groups coming from. I think the grade school was Eastview,
Yeah.
and then there was like another one that fed into Trauber, maybe.
I think
I
there
don't
was
remember.
only Eastview. The other ones were like in Boulder Hill that fed into Thompson,
Yeah.
and then Thompson and Trauber fed into the high school. At least at
Yes.
that
Okay.
time.
Yeah. And I don't know. It was. it's hard. You're in sixth grade, and it's like a huge, like you have these older kids around you that have already kind of established like their friend group, and you're
Yeah.
just like a little baby. You don't know anything.
Right.
And especially when you're like a little, little kid, like in a new school in a new town, it's just kind of like awkward and weird. And I feel like that's all of junior high. Like
Yeah.
friend groups don't usually stay the same throughout junior high, maybe. Maybe they do. I don't know. It sounds like listening to a lot of your episodes that they actually do. Um, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Girls are kind of a different breed,
Are they?
a little
Well,
bit. So
I'd be curious because I feel like you're a part of a particular group, a subset, if you will, of the larger. That
yeah,
includes. I don't know. I don't want to leave anybody out, but at least upwards of like 10 ladies that I would consider like, ooh, like when I think of one, I think of the group, right?
yeah.
Did you guys not meet until high school then?
Um, so I think like the group you're talking about, everybody is like in younger grades than I am. So
Okay.
I always had like I had more of a guy group
Yeah.
that was in my actual grade. But that being said, like in high school, like I loved Jake T, and he wasn't in my group
Right.
or my grade.
Jake T's
I
amazing.
Oh my God, I love him. I love him so much.
Yeah.
Like I liked a lot of, different people, not in my grade. And in my grade, I did go through a couple friend groups. Sometimes there were falling outs. Sometimes it's just like a natural progression of like, I don't really know what we have in common anymore. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, the women that you're talking about, they're younger than me, and like we didn't really start hanging out until like my junior senior year.
Okay. So
Um,
that comes way later.
yeah, yeah. But like I said, like that was like, a little pivotal for me, because I was like into, extracurriculars that were not sports. uh, that was kind of like I don't know, when I decided I was like, no, I want to like kind of do other stuff than like be good in school and like
Yeah.
do sports and stuff like that. So if that makes sense.
It does make sense. I like the illusions we're leaning towards.
Yeah, I might speak in like
Some sort of code.
generalities. Just
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, SEO is a big thing now. I can't have this coming back to me, and employers or somebody being like, "You said this word."
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
You have to be smart.
so
At least you're smart enough to think about it before you say it. So many
oh,
people have
but
texted me afterwards and been like, "Oh shit, I said this on the show,"
yeah.
and I'm like, "It's on the show now, bud. What do you want me to do?"
Right, right. I didn't sign anything, so you're totally liable. Like for
That's
me,
true.
just
What's
kidding.
funny is that I do have guest releases
Mhm.
that I haven't used, like mostly because I know everybody pretty well that's been on the show so far.
Yeah,
But I'm like, as I get to more strangers, I'm gonna have to start using these releases.
yeah, I would do it. I mean, just cover your butt, in case
Yeah,
anything should happen. Now that we're talking about
yeah, it
language, but
would be smart. So, do
yeah,
you think that because you kind of already had your kind of built-in friendships next door with the family, and like you said, you were an outdoor kid, and it was your male cousin. Do you think that? Because I've always felt like you're a little more tomboyish, not in a bad way by any means. Like you're an amazing person, but I feel
just
like
over it.
you're
I'm just
a little
kidding.
more tomboyish. Were you more like that when you were younger?
No, I don't, I feel like someone else in that you are very good friends with has like said this to me as well, which is very funny.
Really?
But I don't see it that way. I think I'm a little more direct and like rough around the edges just because like grew up in a big family and like we kind of just said like what was up like
Yeah.
then and there.
I actually love that better because I think that
Yeah.
that's when now that I've heard you say that, 100% makes way more sense than a dickhead like myself trying to push you into this box. That no, it's true because like if somebody has to challenge that and you have to
Yeah.
hear it to even challenge it in the first place. So you're right. You just proved your point.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like I think that I was kind of I wouldn't say shy, but like I kind of didn't really come out of like my shell until right after high school.
Yeah,
And I think that's when people were like, "Whoa, like she is loud. She is like making jokes. Like she is, drinking with the boys." And like I don't know, that's always been like a double standard for women, especially like in Oswego growing up when we did, because
yeah,
I feel like you were either you had like the women kind of had to be one or two ways. And this is just my take. I'm sure everybody else
sure.
has their own, but you had to be cool, but don't like be whiny and bitchy, and like the things that we like, but like we don't really care about what you like, and like drink with us, but like don't get too drunk, or like don't try to match our energy, or I don't know, just like a little double standard um kind of stuff. So I don't know, it was like I think more eye opening than anything, because I was like, well, if these people have things to say about who I am down in my core, then I don't know if I should stick around here.
Yeah,
Which
sounds
was not.
stifling.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a hard decision to make, because, like I said, I never truly fell in love with growing up out there. But um, I always just knew I wanted like more experiences than what Oswego was offering me at the time.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's my take.
During high school, then were you kind of like chomping at the bit, waiting to get out of town, or because you left pretty early, like right after high school, right? Or did you stick around for a little bit?
I was around for like 2 years, 2 or 3 years maybe. Um, Yeah, after high school, I went to Wabanzi for a year, and I was just not a good student. Like, I don't like, I hear people all the time, like, love school. What academic clubs were you in? Da, 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 da. I'm like, fuck school, dude. Fuck that. Like,
Yeah,
of course, I don't want, like, to not use my brain and not,
sure.
I don't want to be an idiot, but, like, school is just not for me. And I went back to school as an adult, and it was fine, but I didn't finish. But you know, I don't know. It's just hard for me to focus, I guess.
Did you ever go to
Um,
college outside of Wabanzi, or just
I
that's
did, yeah. After Wabanzi, I went to massage therapy school,
oh, nice.
which was pretty cool, but didn't do anything with that. And then I just started working. I worked in logistics at an RR Donnelly, like right off of Weber and the highway 55.
Yeah.
Um, I worked there for a few years, and the woman who got me the job, she just like looked up one day, and she's like a few years younger than me, and she was like, "Hey, do you want to move to Chicago?" And I go, "Okay." Like just thinking it's like a throwaway comment, like totally,
Yeah.
yeah. Like, and then 2 weeks later, we were moving into our apartment in Chicago.
Wow.
So yeah.
Did you stay at that job then, or were you commuting?
I did. I did the reverse commute, and Lord, hear our prayer. That was tough, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't like learn Spanish or something. Because I was in the car so much. But yeah, I did the reverse commute from like Wicker Park, which isn't too far north in the city, down to I guess is that Bolingbrook? Yeah,
Yeah.
Romeoville, Bolingbrook.
Yeah.
Um, and then I got another job at a different logistics company, like three exits closer from or to the city. So like the Lamont Road exit,
Yeah.
which was still a you know big pain in the ass. It doesn't matter what time or where you're going. It's
Yeah.
awful. So
Do you still work out this way, or you have a job in Chicago now?
yes, I finally did it. I have
Nice.
a job downtown. Um, Yeah, they ended up letting me go because it was like the financial crisis. So they were doing layoffs in like 2009. And I was like, thank God, because I hated that job.
Yeah.
So total like blessing. And I was unemployed for like a year, and that's when I was like, I'm going back to school. Um, so to, I took like a year off drinking. Um, I went to City College's Harold Washington right downtown. Um, yeah, just kind of like tried to get in my gen ed classes. I did some acting in the mix too.
Really?
Yeah,
What do
the
you when you
girls.
say acting? What do you mean?
Yeah, so I took classes. I mean both. So I was taking like improv classes at Second City.
That's
Um, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm not good at it. I have like insane stage fright. Um, so it was just really hard to perform, but like in classes, it was like a lot of fun.
what kind of drew you to it then? If like, or did you learn that you had stage fright when it was too late?
Yes, option two. Um, yeah, it was like our graduation show, and I was like, the whole thing with improv is like you're just supposed to make it up as you go.
Yes, and yeah.
Um, yes, and yes. And I would be like planning what I'm gonna say, or like planning like I'm gonna be this character, like have like this attitude or whatever. And it was just never. It was more stressful than it was relaxing. Um, but also there was like a lot of different things going on in my life, like weird relationship. I was like totally sober for you know um, the first time in a long time, and you learn a lot about yourself,
Yeah.
and you're just like dealing,
Right.
but you don't you're like what the fuck is this emotion,
Yeah.
and where did you come from? um so it wasn't the best time, but reading words and memorizing them way better for me. So yeah, at Harold Washington I was like the lead. In One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, I was Nurse Ratchet.
Wow. Really?
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah, it was a long ass play too. Like that
Yeah.
shit sucked. um,
Is that recorded somewhere? I would watch that.
I did have a DVD, and I think I've moved probably like 8 to 10 times since I've lived in the city. So at one point, I was just like,
Yeah.
I can't do it anymore. You
It's
gotta
gone
go.
now. We gotta
Yeah.
put it online so everybody can enjoy it forever.
Mm. I just missed that mark where like everything's not quite online.
Yeah. Uh,
But yeah.
is that all you did though? Like, because that sounds like such a cool thing. That's a really cool part to have. And it's
Yeah.
chunky too. Like you get to really flex some muscle there.
Yeah.
'Cause
No, I did a couple other things. Like I filmed a commercial for the city colleges, um, which I've never seen. It might
uh,
be, I mean, I'm sure they're not airing it anymore. This is probably 2010.
yeah,
Um,
I like to imagine that the whole commercial is just like, "I'm Sam Hermansen. You should go to college."
Learning is good, let me tell you. I don't know. Like, women can go to this college too. Um, Yeah, I did that. And then like there was a lot of like Columbia colleges, and also in Chicago. So like student films, there would be a lot of like open casting for those. So I'd go like on auditions, and like really I feel like when you're starting to act, like your audition skills are, way more important than like when
Yeah,
actually, I mean, delivering is also, you know, a
right.
huge chunk of it, but you got to get your foot through the door.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like auditioning, a lot can go wrong, and you don't get a second chance, right?
yeah, it's truly just first impression.
Yeah.
So that's why I like to say at my job now, I'm like personality hire. So, whatever. I've been there for a while, so.
That's crazy. Was there? So you don't do any of that anymore? That was like almost 15 years
No.
ago.
Yeah, I took a break. Just kind of focus on school. Also did improv at the Annoyance Theater, and then I can't remember the other one that just recently shut down over COVID. It was like a huge theater. I'm blanking, but
Hmm.
did like improv classes there. Took a break, focused on school, and then I went back to Second City to do their writing program.
Ooh,
I was like, this is gonna be it. This is gonna be my big break because Second City will only like put people who usually can act and write into like their shows and stuff that aren't
yeah,
student shows. So I was like, I'm doing it. Well, that was like one of the fucking like worst years of my life. Um, just like drinking way too much,
yeah,
uh, personal issues, like um, a lot of friend deaths, and I was not dealing in a healthy manner.
right.
So didn't necessarily pump out to my full potential, but
Yeah, I'm curious too because one of the things you just said when you were starting, you just pointed out that you were sober. So you took a year off drinking and were sober for the first time in a while,
yeah.
and that you also said that you were in a relationship that was weird. And I'm curious if these two things kind of correlate as far as being sober kind of opens your eyes and be like, oh, this isn't necessarily healthy or correct.
Are you some kind of detective? Yeah. Yeah, I mean the sober thing that was born out of like a sexual assault that happened at work actually. Uh so when I say like I was thrilled to be let go from that job because I didn't know that it wasn't my fault.
Right.
It took me a very long time to understand that.
Yeah.
So, um, of course, like I was so embarrassed. My performance had just like gone down at work. I did not want to be there. Did not want to do anything. Um, and when it did come time for layoffs, they were like, "You can go first." I'm like, "Sayonara." Um,
Is that
so
kind of, did you
then
say that that's the trigger for going sober for a year?
yes, yeah,
That's
at that
incredible.
time,
Like
yeah.
that's I mean, it's worthless and weird to say, but I'm so fucking proud of you for that. Just because, like
Oh, thank you.
that. Well, just it's so easy. I feel like to go the exact opposite way, right? Like
Yeah,
this thing happened. Somehow it's your fault, which makes no sense. And you
yeah,
can really spiral down, and like for you to kind of see that and be like, no, I still might have these feelings, but I'm definitely don't want to compound that by continuing to drink and getting more depressed.
yeah.
That's really incredible.
Yeah, thanks. I don't know if I saw it like that at the time, but hindsight is 2020, right? I don't think that expression applies, but um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like, do you ever like think back to like who you were like, or who you thought you would be like before? And I know you don't really drink or anything, right?
Right.
Yeah, like I don't know. I just tried to get back to like who I was before I thought I had to like put up a facade of who people wanted me to be or
Right.
like who, the fake it till you make it kind of thing, like
Yeah.
um if that makes sense.
It
So and
does.
I knew that that person prior to that was not somebody who gives up. So I was like, fuck this, we need a break, a reset, like let's figure it out. And then yeah, in my relationship, it was just not um it was fun, like, but it wasn't healthy.
Right.
So I don't know. Yeah.
That's probably a good enough explanation. Fun is fun, but eventually
Yeah,
not enough.
right. It's not good for longevity.
Right. Yeah. Which makes sense. So then, kind of going back to when you really had this, we were working on this opportunity to write and taking the classes and everything. And now the lack of being sober is kind of now it's become a hindrance.
Yeah. Yeah, I like had like a demon stage probably like my early 30s, kind of like or shit, was it? Wait, how old am I? Yeah, probably before my early 30s, but like I think I was sober when I was like 27, like that year. And then when I started drinking again, it was fine, very manageable. And then, kind of turned 30 and it was like just I love this. Let's do it. I had started the job that I'm at now, which is like finance and tech. It can be just like a slippery slope for like cocktail hour, happy hour. Like we're going out on a Tuesday, it's Monday, you have to go to a conference.
Yeah,
It's a lot. So it was definitely like kind of bubbling with like the freedom of just having drinks around all the time,
right.
or easier access, I guess. So, um, yeah, I was just like partying too much and just really trying to like test my limits and flirt with, like going to the extreme. Um, where like if I have to like, like now I'm just tired all the time and I don't want to go to the extreme.
Yeah,
Or I would rather not,
right.
But at that time, yeah, people had, passed away
Yeah,
suddenly. And I don't know, I was also kind of just like in this selfish mode where like their death, I definitely tried to make it about me,
yeah,
like, and this is in hindsight, me noticing this rather than when I was in it, I didn't realize that's what I was doing. I was like, oh, someone else died. Like, it's tragic. I gotta, like, make it about me and, like, can't do my work because somebody else died, which, um, yeah, it's not the best way to cope.
yeah. Well, it's a tough line though too, because you can,
Yeah.
I mean, you can genuinely be like, everything just feels off. Nothing feels
Yes.
okay for and that which I think is that's on an individual basis, right? But
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody
And,
feels how they
and yes. And maybe that was the case. And now, like, looking back, I'm being a little too harsh on how I was coping, but um and mostly probably because I'm embarrassed that I acted that way, and it's just upsetting.
So do you
But
consider yourself sober now?
I have a glass of
Because
wine,
let's
honey.
say
I'm
you're
not.
literally drinking wine. Like, well, like I don't
No.
consider, I never had a point where I was like, this is a problem, so I don't consider myself sober. But I rarely drink,
Mm,
like once, maybe twice a year, every couple years. Like
yeah.
I still can. It's not like a rule. Like I can go out
Right.
and cut loose. I'd rather do anything else.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I like small groups. I like intimate conversations, like
Mm,
where you can get. I like to get deep with somebody as opposed to something else. Because if we're gonna go out, like if I decide to go out, I still want to create a scene. I want to get crazy. Like
uh-huh.
if we're not gonna go at that level, to me, it's not worth it. I'd rather stay at home.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I like had that in my bones for a long time, but like I think since COVID, that was kind of a switch. Now, this is not to say that I don't be in these streets getting crazy once in a while, because I do. But it's just like I want to do that once in a while now. It's not like before it was like Tuesday through Sunday,
Yeah,
like whatever.
yeah.
Um,
Sometimes it would be a bit of a binger.
yeah, yeah, with other party favors to go around too,
Right.
so not not the best, but no, now it's like my little treat,
Yeah.
Like, sometimes, I don't like to deal with my stress with alcohol, but sometimes it is nice just to be like, I want a glass of wine.
Yeah.
um I am like in a sort of a social role at work, so it's nice to go to a happy hour, and like have a couple.
Yeah.
So it's much more manageable now. But
it sounds healthier. Like, not for nothing. Like, there's definitely a difference between coming home and having a glass of wine as opposed to like what some of us were known for doing back in the day, right? Where it's like you just
yeah,
said, Tuesday through Sunday.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a lot of it is boredom for me too, and that's how I see it for other people. Um, or maybe I
Well,
don't know.
that's actually something I was going to ask you too, because one of the biggest gripes, like, I don't partake in a lot of the nightlife, but I
Mhm.
love staying up late. Like, it's just
Really,
something. Yeah, I've always liked staying up
honey?
late. I like
No.
I like to get up early. I like to stay out late, but there's nothing to do out here. So I feel like that's why a lot of those things start happening where you're drinking too much or you're indulging too much in whatever. So I got to think
Yeah,
that kind of being in the city where it's pretty lively till upwards of 4 a.m. or all night, there's more to do. Like, there's more options, right?
yeah. I mean, for sure. But like even at, whatever time, there's a lot of options to keep yourself busy. Um, I think like one of the turning points for me was like I like super depressed, learned I had like panic disorder, like was having panic attacks like pretty regularly. And one of my friends was like, start running with me. Like, let's run. And one of the coolest things you can do to like get to know the city more and from like a different perspective is running on a Sunday morning at like 8 a.m.
Yeah,
You'll see like you see the bad parts of like going out all night, like,
yeah,
oh, they're just going home, or they're so wasted, or like, oh, that person just clocked out of their shift, or like whatever, like the not the bad parts, maybe not that's not the right word, but the less desirable
right.
um,
Yeah. It's
part
definitely
of
a
going out.
juxtaposition as opposed to like starting your day in the morning, being
Yeah.
healthy, and it's kind of seeing the opposite.
Yes. Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. So you've been in the city for 20, pretty near 20 years.
Yeah. Isn't that nuts?
It is nuts. Like, it's insane to think about. Do you think you'll ever leave the city?
God, I hope so. Yeah, but I don't. If I leave, it's like I'm out of Illinois.
Yeah,
I really love Arizona, even though their politics are just garbage lately.
man. It's like, I don't even think it's lately. I think it's just finally that
Yeah,
we're
that's true.
realizing it. Because I've heard a
Yeah,
lot of horror
yes,
stories. Because it looks desirable as a state, but
yeah,
yeah, their mindset is at least in uh, a broad sense seems awful.
yes, yeah. It's kind of, I mean, pretty disappointing.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. I don't want to talk about politics. I'm logged off. um,
That's a
really,
different
it's
show.
yeah, it's been no news November since I don't
Since
even know how
November.
long. Yeah, we're still going strong.
Yeah, smart.
Um, yeah, but yeah, I don't think I would go to the burbs unless it was like around here. I really love a walkable city,
Hmm.
and they're kind of hard to find. Um, I don't really like to be in the car for very long unless I'm like going a state away or like,
Right. Yeah.
on a trip. But um, yeah, it's like cool to have some sort of sense of smaller community, if that makes sense. Like as far as like being in the city, like walking outside and always seeing your neighbors, which I guess now that I'm saying that the suburbs have too. But
Yeah. It depends. Like, because I know for me, like, I hate where I live is annoying because everything's like closed on Sundays and shuts down at like six
what
to eight.
town are you in?
I'm in DeKalb right now,
Oh
so
yeah, okay.
you'd think college town there's stuff to do, but there's not.
Yeah.
And it's awful because I wouldn't want to go farther like west, and like, because I've lived in Sandwich and hated it. I wouldn't want to live out
Yeah.
where I need to be somewhere where it's lively, like far enough away to where I'm not in the congestion, but close enough that I feel like there's a living city there.
Yeah. Right. Like that's always what had attracted me to Chicago, like the energy um of just like knowing that like people are always somewhere at some time at all times, you know?
Yeah,
Um I thought that was really cool. And also when I lived in Darien, just like getting on the highway, you can see the skyline from there. So it was always just like kind of in my rear view mirror of like there's stuff happening there. So
yeah. Do you think that you'd go back to revisit your acting and improv days?
I think about that all the time, Tim.
I could see you being a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
Like, do you prefer the writing, or like it sounds like you prefer the writing more than acting the stuff out?
Well, I think that, like a lot of people, we go through stages
Mhm.
of, or I do personally, like confidence levels, right? Like,
Right,
um, and there are times when I'm like, I got this figured out. I feel confident, like booty on fleek or whatever. Like, I am
yeah,
here to do the thing.
right.
And then, it comes down and I don't know what I'm waiting for. That's actually a that's a great question because there is no time like the present,
Right.
and I should probably just take the step and do it. But
There's no time but the present.
right, right, exactly. Um, so maybe, I mean, I wouldn't even know where to start. Like, sure, I could sign up for classes, but like those things are expensive. Um,
Yeah.
I think like for 8 weeks back in 2010, they were like close to 500 bucks.
Wow. Yeah.
Um, yeah, and like they'll just let you sign up even if you're bad. Like there's there's no grading. They're just like,
Yeah.
come on, write the check. So that's a little difficult, but I don't know. I think I'm just like focused on what's next in life for me. Like my job is cool. Like I like it. Like I get to go to Omaha and St.
That's
Louis
exciting.
and
Yeah.
all the exotic cities. Uh,
Ah, yes. The
so,
exotic,
yeah,
far off, distant land of Omaha.
yeah. They have a Top Golf. So.
Actually, not for nothing, they have an amazing zoo.
Mm,
Their zoo is really cool. They've got a ski lift that'll take you over exhibits.
yeah,
It's pretty sweet.
I've never been there, but I've tried to plan an event there. They
Yeah,
never got back to us, but yeah, everyone was talking about like that's like the highly rated attraction in Omaha.
makes sense. The rest of it is awful.
Yeah.
So it's not awful. That's not fair. But it's like their big city, right? And it's like
Yeah.
the equivalent of downtown Naperville.
Right. Yeah. And
Yeah,
we're spoiled here. Like,
yeah. We forget. I think we take Chicago for granted.
mm,
Like kind of what you were talking about too, of like getting out there early and like really seeing kind of the beauty of the city and what it can be versus sometimes
yeah.
what it's painted as. And two, like living so close, we're kind of like, I don't know, like,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah,
an
because
incredible place.
right. But I feel like some folks from Oswego or maybe just the suburbs, like I know my brother is this way. He works down here, so he has to commute every day and he lives in Plainfield. Um, but like he doesn't want to come here on the weekends. Like it is a big to do for him, like
Right.
he sits in traffic all the time. So like, do you feel the same way about like is it a big major decision like that you have to make to commit to come downtown?
I think that's already been answered to the fact that we're doing this online
Yeah.
instead of me like coming by,
Right.
right?
No, I'm in the room with you.
Because there's a few people out there that I'm hoping to get a hold of. Like, I could have scheduled it out to like go out there for a day and record with like 3 or 4 people,
Yeah.
which would have made more sense and been smart. But
That would have been exhausting though. You know how
yeah,
tired you would have been?
yes, that's true. But it would have been totally worth it
Oh,
because
for sure.
I haven't been out there in a long time. Like I've lowered my income so that I can focus on doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And in doing that, I've cut out getting tattoos, and I was always out there to get tattoos.
Yeah.
My friend Angela is the tattoo artist out there that I always go to. So that's what I'm. If I when I start uh, getting more money coming in, I'll be back out there to get more tattoos.
Yeah, that's awesome. Are you like, is that what the goal is with the podcast?
Yeah. I mean, I'm realistic. My goal for this year is that it'll like pay for itself. Like I just with this season 2, I switched hosting sites.
Okay.
So I was using a free service that was very minimal, and it would just at least let me get started. So now I've switched to an actual pay hosting site that is like $20 a month, but I've got a lot more control. I can have a lot more shows, and I can do
Yeah.
ads and stuff like that. So to start driving revenue, my goal is to have it pay for itself. Like if I can make
Yeah.
the minimum of like $20 a month, just so it's self sufficient, I would
Yeah.
feel like I would probably squeal like a little lady, but if I can, I'll take it as high as I can. I'm willing to take it
Yeah.
wherever it needs to go, and I've got a ton of ideas of like a dozen other shows that I would like to push. This main one is a tough one, right? Because it's very niche. It's
Hmm.
very focused on like our town and our friends. Uh,
Yeah.
so I don't anticipate it like blowing up, but I've got. It's kind of like when you come up, like even when you were acting or learning stuff and things like that, where it's like when you start, you're where you are, and you think, all right, this is where I'm at. But when you look back at it a year later, you're like, God, I was awful.
Yeah.
So I'm
What?
curious to see where I'm going to be like a year from now, or what ideas I'm
Oh,
going to
yeah.
have down the line.
I have some advice for you because I've started multiple projects like similar. I had a podcast, I had a blog, I was a
Yeah,
dog with a blog. Um, don't stop, and like
yeah,
think of the bigger picture because you're so right. Like sometimes that's a struggle, like for me especially, to be like a year from now, what would that even feel like? But think about a year like uh last year. Think about last year, like
yeah,
it's just you feel so different and so much has changed.
yeah. It's true, and you don't know until you know.
Yeah,
Because
right.
that's like even like now I'm trying to get more people to start shows because I want to put them all under one banner and like build an empire.
Oh my gosh, let's go, girl.
Yeah, so like if you want to get back into it, but I even tell them I'm like, all right, because when I started, I'm not saying that this is the be all end all, but when I started, I wrote, first I was like, I only want to do 6 months at a time because I wanted to do seasons because
Hmm.
doing one a week for forever is too much.
Yeah, that's what we did,
Yeah,
and
so
it
I'm like,
was
if I could
a
season it
lot.
out, then I was like, all right, great. So I'll do at least 26. I'll do 6 months worth of shows. So I wrote out 26 guests I would want to have, and I wrote out
Yeah,
15 solo episodes in case I needed them, which I've never needed. But then I was like, great. And then I didn't even start posting them until I had 6 weeks in the bank. So and I still do that. Like the episode
that's
we're
great.
recording right now isn't going to go live for until probably the end of May,
Oh wow, okay.
and we're recording the second week of it, the day before my birthday in April.
Oh my God, your birth. Wait, what? Your birthday's tomorrow?
Yeah,
What?
yeah.
Let's sing a song.
Now let's not.
What? What are we doing?
I'm actually recording another person tomorrow morning. Like that's a
Oh
little.
my gosh.
I hate to pull the curtain back too far, but like that's to me that's smart thinking big picture. Have stuff in the
Yeah,
bank, have stuff ready to go because I got to do all the editing. I've got to get everything organized anyway.
yeah,
So now, like when I'm done tomorrow, I can take a week off. I can realistically take 3 weeks off if I needed to, and leisurely start
yeah,
scheduling because I've got the first. That'll be the first 8 episodes done. So I've got 2 months in the bank.
yeah. No, that's awesome. And another thing, like I listened to multiple episodes of yours, and I was like, did I I don't think I've ever heard your story
No,
like entirely. So I'm
yeah,
like, okay, he's asking all these questions, but like, a conversation is fluid. We go back and forth, or maybe just I talk all the time. I don't know. But it's supposed to be back and forth. But I was like, I don't know anything like where did he come from? Where did he, come up at?
It's funny that you say that because I've been thinking about that lately and kind of how like, all right, you're approaching like 30 episodes and you haven't talked about yourself. Like the first episode of the first season
Yeah.
was a solo episode about like specific things, but it wasn't really like my story. Like I ask everybody else their story, and I'm like, maybe I should do a solo episode for that. But then I'm also like, who gives a shit?
I do. I mean, I listen to the damn series. I want to know, like, I don't know, just be filled in, maybe if you also just took a little time telling more of your story while you're interviewing people,
Yeah, yeah.
it
I'm
would.
always worried that I interject too much with my own words and opinions as it is.
No, I mean, I'm getting interviewed and I feel like I'm talking too much. Yeah. Should I ask him a question?
It would be funny if I tried to like do it. If I just set up two mics and interviewed myself.
Oh my God, that'd be great. You
Nah,
should try that. Try
I just
that.
feel like it would turn into a self-deprecating sad fest.
No, we're only happy,
I get
right?
it.
That's
Yeah,
the only emotion we have. All
that's right.
right. Yeah.
But so you're talking about what your life and like what you want to focus on next. Uh,
Yeah.
what do you think? What do you suppose that is looking like? Are you just kind of like open to see?
Yeah, I don't know. I somebody is ringing my doorbell. Hang on.
I see that.
Shut this door. Um, I don't know really. I feel like my last big thing was running the marathon in 2002. Um, and now I'm just trying to like give my body a break. Um,
2002.
or sorry, 22.
I was
My
just saying,
bad.
didn't that just happen? That was not 22 years
That was the
ago.
last thing I've done. I've been on the couch since then. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. Yeah, since 22. Last year was just kind of like rest and recover, as far as like physicality goes. Um, I wanted to do a triathlon, but I'm like terrified of swimming in Lake Michigan, so I don't think I'll do that. Um, so as far as like something that's like active and like uh, bigger long term goal like that goes, I don't really have anything in the bank right now. But other personal goals, I think, is just to like travel more, which is so, I feel like I hate when people say that. I hate when people's personalities are traveling,
Yeah,
mostly just because I'm jealous because I'm not doing it.
yeah.
But
Have you traveled much?
domestically, yes.
Yeah.
Um, but outside of the US, not so much, which I think like I just need to get over some kind of like fear I have of doing that.
Where would you
Um,
like to go?
A lot of places. I want to go to Spain. I want to go to Portugal, Italy, of course. I'm actually 50% Scottish. Should probably go see the mainland. Um, I have no. I really wish I wanted to go see London, but like, there's no desire, and I don't know why.
Yeah,
Um, but my grandma remarried an Australian man. So I'd love to go see Australia, like just because he's hilarious and
yeah,
has great stories. But like I've been to like Mexico, the Caribbean, Canada, but nowhere like as far as Europe goes. Um,
yeah.
yeah. What about you? Have you?
I've been to Germany and France,
Hmm.
and then like Canada. I don't. I have not traveled that much either.
Yeah.
I'm always like I live a certain lifestyle at certain periods of my life uh, where I'm focused on other stuff, so I'm not necessarily focused on making money. Like
Yeah.
you've got a great job. You've busted your ass to do that and have had it for a long time. Like, do you live alone?
No, I live with my partner.
Yeah, right. So you've got at least
I'm
a
doing,
nice dual income, which is great.
yeah,
But I mean, it's not cheap in Chicago, and it's not, like you're
no,
talking about the classes and stuff. Traveling is expensive, so it's always just a matter of what's the priority for you, and it's never been a priority that much, which I think will evolve over the next like probably 5 years. Because I
yeah,
I loved going to. I have friends in Germany. Like my friend
okay.
Laura from Germany, she is Italian and German, so she speaks.
How did you guys meet?
Uh, Her and her friend, well, they weren't friends at the time, but they became friends through this program. They were au pairs,
Oh, nice, yeah.
and they came here, and they actually met Andy Halder,
Okay,
and he brought them to a party at Scotty's house when I was living with Scotty on our the Short of All house, and them and I just hit it off, and we've stayed friends for like the last, geez, pretty near 20 years
that's
as
great.
well. Yeah, so which is awesome. So then I go to Germany. I've got two places to stay for free, like which is huge.
Yeah,
I've got tour guides. I've got people that speak the language. Like Laura speaks English, German, French, Spanish, and Italian.
yeah,
So it's like it's a whole different thing. Like when you have people like that you can go and travel
yeah.
with.
Have her take your
Yeah, well, like we
take
went
me to
to
all of them.
we went to Paris was the coolest part. Like because my friend Vicky lives in southern like southwestern Germany. So we
Mm,
just literally woke up at like 5 a.m. and caught the train to Paris
yeah.
and spent the day in Paris, which is
See, I
incredible.
yeah, I have like a pretty nervous personality, like outside of like the loud voice. So I think that like I would just be like stressed, like what train do I get on? Where do I go? Like, and
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, when you're like that anxious about just this one thing, like you just kind of spiral. Like, I don't even know how to read English anymore. What's happening? Like,
I mean, that's the truest thing. If I wouldn't have been able to do it without the native people with me, like with Laura and
yeah,
Vicky, I'd have been like, even if you asked me, I'd be like, I don't do that. That sounds too
yeah,
stressful. Like my anxiety would
yeah.
peak 100%. Like I don't like trains also, and these are like the speed
What the?
trains that go crazy. Like, dude, when I take the train to the city, like I, it's my favorite way to travel, but the train scares me.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, if I have to sit somewhere where I can see the way they're connected and they shake, it's
Oh,
it makes me very
okay.
uncomfortable. The L is
So
even
like the
worse.
metro is fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Like I'll do it, but it just makes me uneasy. The
Yeah.
L is 100 times worse.
Yeah, the I don't even ride the L anymore. I like drive downtown, and
Yeah,
that's insane.
it is
I'm like
insane.
4 miles away, so that's like an hour in traffic,
Yeah,
which is
that is.
also insane. But like
Yeah,
for context,
yeah, that is insane. But I definitely. It is a cliche, but traveling is, I think, important, and it's just so. I don't know.
yeah.
There's something rejuvenating about it.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Like yeah. I don't know. Even just staring at a body of water, I'm like, you're healing me. How did you? What's happening?
Yeah,
But it is. I don't know. Just relaxing. You know what? I'm just gonna say it. I don't think we were supposed to. I don't think we were meant to work.
yeah. I agree
Period.
completely. I've posted stuff about that and got into arguments about that. Like, we weren't put on here to work or care about 401ks. Like, we're literally like
Yeah.
one or two amazing inventions away from automating most things that exist, anyways.
Yeah.
Like, there's no future where humans are still working at the level that we have been, and our lives have
Right.
been stolen from us for so long. It's,
Yeah.
it's just crazy,
Let me just vibe and eat.
right?
That's really all I want to do.
You're like, man, what a great existence.
Yeah. No, I mean it is a little depressing when you really think about it, but
What is just
yeah.
vibing and eating?
No, no, working in our
Oh yeah,
existence, like, and
yeah, yeah,
having to work forever,
yeah.
unless you have like stacks of cash,
Right.
hidden in your mattress. But
And I'm one of those
even,
like weirdos who thinks that on a bigger scale, the way our system is intricately like monitored and created as it goes, it creates all of the negativity and all of the bad things that we look at also, because it's built into the system. Like there's a hierarchy, right? And most people are at the bottom, but somebody told them they could get to the top. Well, they're going to claw their way to the top anyway, by any means necessary. If you, now I don't want to get dangerous and start talking about, any kind of communism or any kind of ism, but if you level the playing field and everybody has,
I'm gonna have an aneurysm. Just kidding.
No isms. But if you level that playing field, what is there to be mad about?
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, we are all the same, as far as humans.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think like one of the best things for me was like getting off Facebook. And I did that like a week before January 6th,
Nice.
2021.
Yeah, smart.
Yeah, well, I didn't know it was going to happen. But yeah, now I just don't have to see like, opinions that I don't really I don't agree with, because I do generally love a lot of people from Oswego.
Yeah.
And sometimes reading, and I'm sure that they can say the same for me, like reading what they actually like care about. I don't love to see that every day.
Yeah. It's tough because like it's genuinely made me upset, like changed my mood to be like,
Yeah,
I can't believe that you really think this way or think that that's a
right.
viable option. Like, I don't want to get into politics either, but like I've always described myself as uncomfortably left leaning,
Hmm.
but that's not how you make policy. I'm allowed to have those opinions and those ideals. That's not how I would make policy. We have to work together to make policy. I'm
Yeah.
still allowed to think that these are the right ways to do it, but how do we meet in the
Hmm.
middle to where everybody's happy? And that for some reason, that's not how our politics system works.
Well,
Somebody
no,
has to be
no.
right and somebody has to be wrong, which is absurd.
Yeah. Like we're pitted against each other because
It's all part of the plan.
yeah, it's a distraction.
100%.
But I don't know. That might sound insane of me, but I think it's true in a sense. But I want to ask. Can I ask you a question? Can
I,
I be the interviewer now?
I dare you to ask me a question.
What is the conspiracy theory that you kind of believe?
I am a sucker for a good conspiracy theory.
Oh, so you all of them.
Not all
You're just
like
like yes, 100.
there's two things. There's some that I'm like, that makes a lot of sense, and then there's some
Yeah.
that are just like so ridiculous. I'm like, God, I hope that's true.
Yeah. Right.
Like, and again, I'm not here to make statements or to push any buttons for real. This is more for entertainment, by all means. The 9/11 stuff from forever ago, I'm 100% conspiracy theory. I believe that stuff. Like everything they say, I'm like,
What
no,
like
it's too convenient what they've said. There's a lot of
oh,
misinformation
sure.
or non-shared information. Like I say, there's no reason to rehash it, but like literally a building burned down that wasn't even part of the attacks blocks the like it's there's just
Yeah.
too many things
Okay,
that
so
I'm like, I'm not sure.
in a roundabout way, you're saying jet fuel cannot melt steel beams. Okay, I get
Yeah.
it.
And also it wouldn't leave those steel beams with a perfectly cut thing like stand
Yeah.
like whatever.
So, but what do you think is do you have an alternative theory, or are you just like
It's
you're
not
buying
even a
into
it's
the
not
fact
even a
that it's
matter
not?
of theory so much as like uh I can look at certain things in history in general, and again, ugh, ugh, I apologize that this is where it's gone, but I love talking about this stuff. When you look at every war we've been in, we've had to quote unquote create or at least manipulate something to happen to get us into war, right? So, like with World War One, it was the Lusitania. Like we sent a submarine into German occupied waters, and like they literally posted in our papers, hey, this like, and warned us like, hey, this ship's getting close to like our stuff, don't, or we'll have to blow it up.
Yeah.
And we're basically like, nah, whatever.
Yeah.
And then they do it anyway, and they blow it up, and now of course the world or America's pissed. We're very patriotic.
Right.
So that's how you get into the war. And World War II is no different. Pearl Harbor, they said this is a possibility. This is going to happen. We cut off all trade from Japan. We made all these crazy things. We literally started mistreating Japanese Americans.
Yes.
And then we provoke them and dare them to attack where they said they were going to attack. And then they do it. And we're, of course, America gets excited. We're an excitable people.
Yeah.
And boom, now we get to go to World War II. How exciting. Like, I can
Yeah.
understand. The part that bothers me the most is that I can understand from a political standpoint. Like, war is good business. Like,
Oh
unfortunately,
yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
it's just the way our economy is built.
Let's go, arms dealers. Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah.
like, I get it, but I think that those are things that have always existed. There's always going
Yeah.
to be a way. The beauty of it now, and it's what really started in the infancy of 9/11 times, was the information that we get is so constant now.
Yeah.
So it's
It's too
harder to
much.
manipulate. Well, like in back then, it was we were getting a lot and too much. Now we're getting so much that it's hard to weed between what is true and what's not,
Right.
which I think has made it easier for them to manipulate us all.
Yeah, well, for sure. But I mean, I don't think it's a they situation anymore. I
Yeah,
think it's just
yeah,
anybody, anybody with a headset and a webcam and what are we on StreamYard? Like
yeah,
um, it's truly just coming from all corners because there is money to be made
right,
behind it. So like
yeah,
who does want to go to work?
right.
The traditional 9 to 5, you could just make videos from your truck,
Yeah,
you
any
know?
dickhead can be a talking head, like, and you'll
Yeah.
find a market eventually, especially
Yeah,
if you're willing to
100%.
sell out your principles and your convictions. People will
Yeah,
flock to you. Like, it's crazy
right.
to think about, and because also what bothers me too is like I felt like an idiot saying they. Like, what the hell does that mean?
Don't feel like
Uh,
an idiot. Don't call
but
yourself names.
well, like, because at the end of the day too, like, even when people are like, your phone's listening to you, like, even when you turn it off, it's listening to, like, that's true, but
Yeah,
it's like their big scheme is advertising. Like,
yeah.
if you're
But
not,
wait, I have
go
a
ahead.
conspiracy theory kind
Yeah.
of similar to that. So after your point, yeah, I want to go into
That's
it.
my whole point. Like, their big end game is advertising, just
Right,
which is to further fuel the economy and to keep us in debt and to keep us from ever doing anything of substance.
right, right. Or like like having a revolution.
Right. What do you have?
Um, Birds aren't real.
Oh, that's one of my favorite. See, that's one that I wish was real.
I was having so my partner and I, Andrew, like we were having an argument about this because he's like, I was like, yeah, I don't think all birds actually are real. I think some of them are drones. And he's like, Sam, if they wanted to spy on you, like your phone like is available. And I was like, yeah, but what about like if they want to record you, like your face and like they need images? He's like tapping on like the lens of his like iPhone. I'm like, bro, what if they need an aerial view? They need to know, like, not every iPhone has the fisheye lens. Some birds are drones. They have to
Yeah,
be, right?
I hope so.
Me too. It's kind of cute. It's kind of a cute
Yeah.
conspiracy theory.
That was my favorite meme when COVID happened. Was they're like, the pandemic's not
Yeah.
real. The government just needed to change the batteries in all the birds.
Yes. That's so good. Oh my God. I told my chiropractor that one and he I think I don't know, died laughing. It was so funny. Um, yeah. Yeah. But I do kind of like that one. And they have good marketing, so I'm in.
Yeah, they man, I actually, so I didn't know it was a real thing, and I saw the shirt, and I was like, I gotta get this shirt. This shirt is amazing.
Yeah.
Just like, and then I found out what it was attached to. I was like, oh my, I like this even
Yeah.
more. This is ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like usually love to peddle things that there could be like it could be harmful to
Sure,
the
yeah,
general public or a
yeah.
group of people
That's why I
or
didn't get the shirt.
birds.
Once I realized what it was, I was like, oh, I can't support this, but I'm glad it exists.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't support it. But I guess we probably just edit this whole section out.
I'm gonna probably leave it. Like, we haven't done anything controversial in a while, and also it's all an entertainment. Like, it's lighthearted. if we want, like, there's real conspiracy theories that are like messed
Yeah.
up and crazy. I wouldn't even mention any of those here. You can look them up, Google them, like that are way like effed up, like bad.
Yeah. If this really does come out in a month, and if you're out there and if you're listening, message me about what happens with P. Diddy. I'm locked in. I need to know.
Well, good. Now you'll at least get a message in a month.
Yeah, from who?
Who knows now?
Right.
Uh,
Okay. I don't. Where do we go from here?
I think we've waded out into the weeds too far now.
Yeah,
Is there
yeah.
anything else you want to talk about?
Um, no, I don't think so. I mean, I did not prepare topics. Yeah, I think this is a great conversation. It was nice to catch up. Hopefully, next time we can do this in person and
Yeah.
it won't be so uh non in person. I don't know what the word I was looking for is. So,
Yeah, it'll be so cold and digital.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you taking the time. It means a lot to me. It's like I said, you're one of my favorites. It's great to talk to you in general. I wish we hung out more.
You're one of my favorites. Please come over. I will have you. We have a spare bedroom. This is the first time in Chicago that I've had like a nice apartment.
Yeah,
So please come and visit me and bring that stinky little fella JK with you.
I would love to bring that little stinky fella. In
I'm just
fact,
kidding. You're not stinky.
I hope it's a twin bed and we both stay in there.
Yeah. I mean, we have this room also, but there's no bed. But
I said
we can figure something out.
I said what I said.
Yeah.
Uh,
But please come visit. Summer is always fun. Um, yeah, I miss you guys.
yeah, I know we miss you also because we do talk about you more than we probably should admit.
No, tell me that every day. Bro, I'm struggling. No, I'm kidding.
Aren't we
I'm not,
all? Yeah.
but okay, wait. What are you going to do for your birthday?
Nothing. I don't like birthdays and stuff. Just gonna go to my sister's, play some tabletop games, and
That's awesome.
yeah, I mean, I do that every Saturday, but yeah,
Oh, cool.
that's my big to do.
That's
But
fun.
I'll
That's
probably
great.
actually pick a game that I like to play that they don't normally play, and that'll be
Oh, like
exciting.
what?
Probably Marvel United.
Okay, don't know that one.
That sounds like I'm glad you're asking.
Was I don't know. Out of
they're
the board
all like
game.
they're all like that's why I specified tabletop games because they're all like nerdy. It's not like Monopoly or Life.
Oh yeah, shit. My bad. Yeah,
It's like
I
D&D
know the
type
difference.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
still
that's fun.
awesome. Yeah, it's still super
Yeah,
fun. But yeah,
that would be great.
I think we're good. I think we can call it here. Uh, you know what I from talking to you because it's been a while, and we've seen each other at various different stages in our lives. One of the like really prominent feelings that I feel like is coming out when I listen to you is growth.
Ooh, ooh la la.
And I think that that's awesome. I'm curious to see
Yeah,
how that continues on your path here. What comes next?
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We will call it there.
All right. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Appreciate
Empirical
you.
Feed Pod, bro. All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, I'll talk to you soon.
I love you.
Love you
Bye.
too. Bye.